Good morning, my friends. My name is Craig Phillips. I'm a volunteer end-of-life doula at Gilchrist, at least in non-COVID times. Honored to speak with you today. Honored that Diane asked me to. I'd like to share with you today some of the little tips that I have for stopping or reducing ruminations and the things that can just cause us suffering. Before I get into that, though, I want to share one of what it means to be a doula to me, and how important it's been, and a little bit about what I believe the role of a doula is. And the best way I can do that is to share a poem that I wrote. It's the first poem I ever wrote, but I think it'll resonate with you in this field. I call it an end-of-life doula's contemplation. What will today bring? I won't hazard a guess. They may pass here before me or just lay and rest. I look to the roster to see who's in need. Perhaps by this work, I am planting a seed. My triage is done and I've chosen room 4. I shed all agenda and knock on the door. Your color and faith are not important to me. No ego, no pretense. We'll just sit and be. My name is Craig. I'm a volunteer. I hope she can tell by my tone I'm sincere. As yours is a room with no sign of flowers, I will be your family in these final hours. You're not alone. You're in a safe place. I see that there's beauty within every face. Her breath comes quite slowly as I take her hand. Life is slipping away like fine grains of sand. My name is Craig. You're in a safe place. Just trying to show love to the whole human race. I count up to 40 and expect her to stop. When the count passes 50, my own heart drops. I am here with you now, and I want you to know you may leave any time with permission to go. Your time has now come to release and be free. 121, 122, 123. And now you are gone. For a time I'll remain. It won't be that long before I hear that refrain. It's been a great honor to be here with you. It helps me to value each moment as new. They call it transition, but who is to know? Perhaps we will reap what we've labored to sow. Our lives are wrapped up in such silly chatter. We all need to focus on what truly matters, to act on this now and not to leave it to fate, to show love and compassion before it's too late. This is what the work has meant to me. And now I've got about 5 minutes to give you, or less, to give you tips on how to control your mind. Here goes. Not going all Buddhist on you, but Buddhism is, the basis of it is called the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And there's thousands of words that have millions of words written on that. I'll condense it. That the Four Noble Truths are boil down to life is suffering. And the Eightfold Path is that you can get out of that suffering if you lead a good life and you meditate. But I'm going to leave that aside. When we think about suffering, you think about death and illness and poverty and injustice. What I want to say is that's not the suffering. That's the pain. That's the initial pain. What the suffering comes from is what we think about all of those terrible things. The ruminations, the speculation, the catastrophizing. That's where the real suffering comes in. If I may, pain is inevitable, but suffering is somewhat optional. I want to give you share a concept with you called the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain. And the second arrow, again, is what you think about it. For instance, I've got a really bad cold. Or maybe it's the flu. That's the pain. The suffering is, oh my God, could this be COVID? Am I going to die from this? Oh, this has to be the flu. Oh, I don't have time for a cold. I've got so much to do. That's the second arrow. All of these things we think about. And if you take that thought and extrapolate it to all of the pains and think about that second arrow, if I can leave you with that, just cognizance of the thought versus the pain. Similar to that, I'll share, and there's not a lot of time for this, but I'll share that there is a book by Byron Katie called Loving What Is. And she has a little practice called The Work. And when something is bothering you, you ask yourself a series of 4 questions. Is it true? Number 2, is it really true? Third is, can I see a reason to hold on to this thought? That's generally no. And the last one is, who would I be without this thought? Bringing that up to date with, let's say, now, COVID times. COVID's going to last forever. Is it true? Probably not. Is it really true? So if you go through the progression, but sometimes the thought in your mind is true. Like, let's say we take the thought that COVID is pretty horrible. Is it true? Yeah, it's pretty true. It's very true. And is it really true? Yes, it is. But then we hit the next one. Can I see a reason to hold on to this thought? Well, in a rational, logical way, you want to hold on to the thought in that you're going to take preparedness. You're going to make sure you have PPE. But to ruminate about how bad it is, no, it's not helpful. And it doesn't mean you can get rid of the thought. You didn't invite the thought into your mind in the first place. But when you say to yourself, is it worth holding on to? You'll realize that it's not. And then who would I be without this thought, without these ruminations? Well, I'd be much, much happier than I am now thinking about it. So lastly, one little gem. When you're getting ruminations, here's the tip. Tell your thoughts, come back when you have something new to say. You might have to do that 10 times, but I find that it helps to just come back when you have something new to say. I'll summarize and say, so pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, or at least partly. Remember the concept of the second arrow. Who would I be without this thought? And come back when you have something new to say. I hope this has been of some benefit to you. Thank you.